Hi everybody, this is Phoebe Smith with Love Relationships Real Talk. In the third and final part of our series, Getting the Love You Want and Need, we'll be talking about how to put closure on the end of a relationship that is no longer serving you or that has come to the end of a season. You know, we pick up concepts and ideas along our journey that gives us solace and insight and understanding about why certain things happen in our lives. In regards to relationships, I can't think of a better piece of information, a better concept to apply to life lessons than the one that was coined by Iyanla Vanzant. She says that relationships are meant for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I can't tell you how many times I've used this concept as a basis for understanding and providing support and clarity for friends and myself as we've navigated the end of a love relationship. Heartbreak is truly one of the most difficult things in our lives that we must find a way to get through, to live through. For me, it has helped immensely to realize that not all love relationships are supposed to last forever. From a spiritual perspective, that everyone comes into your life for a specific purpose and a reason. But again, we lull ourselves into believing that every new love is the one, or at least we hope they will be. So we can stop having to look for the one, so we can relax, so we can prove to the world and ourselves with our union, with our ring, with our families that we create in our imagery about how things should look and be, that we're worthy of being chosen, that we have achieved the ultimate dream. But the truth is, most of our love relationships have happened in order to prepare us for our lifetime love. And because of that, they'll end. Those relationships will end. Consider this. Might we fall in love and be in these love relationships and fall into the societal trappings of how things are supposed to be and commit ourselves to a relationship that actually was really meant to be a learning lesson and not a lifetime relationship? And when these relationships come to an end, which they will, we need to find a gracious and loving way to put closure to these relationships. Pack up the lessons that we needed to learn from the relationship and put to rest the issues that no longer work for us. And that might even show up in the form of a divorce or in the end of a long-standing relationship, because we entered that relationship definitely hoping that it was going to last a lifetime. But it may not have meant to be for a lifetime. It may have just been there for a reason or a season. And so we have to take that into consideration and not look at it as a failure or time wasted, but an opportunity to learn and grow. And when we take on the truth of what these relationships were really in our lives for, then we are able to interact with people at a higher frequency level when we do have that opportunity to meet someone who is actually meant to be in our lives for a lifetime. Because then we're attracting what we deserve and not what our dysfunction expects or accepts. There are only 3 questions you need to ask in order to determine if the relationship that you're currently in is no longer serves you. So the first question I have is, neither my beloved or myself are being injured in any form or fashion by the other. That would be mentally, psychologically, physically, or verbally. Question number 2. Both my beloved and myself have answered in the affirmative that we will do whatever it takes, raw, risky, or brave, to heal the wounds in ourselves and our relationship going forward. And the last question is, both my beloved and myself have agreed to forgive and start anew. If you can answer yes to all 3 of these questions, then you should watch the second part of the series, Getting the Love You Want and Need. There are some great suggestions for getting started on your journey of healing and rebuilding your relationship. But if you answered no to either of these questions, it's possibly a time to start considering that you need to put closure on this love relationship. That would mean that this relationship either did not serve its purpose in your life, or it has served its purpose and it's now time to end it and move on. In order for this time to make sense, for it to be fruitful or useful, you must reflect on the lessons this relationship delivered and not the events that occurred. The lessons have everything to do with you and your actions and thoughts, and nothing to do with your ex and the actions and events they imparted with you in the relationship. When our relationships end, we focus so intently on what they did to us, don't we? And completely ignoring what we were there to learn. It truly isn't about him or her. That they cheated, that they weren't who you thought they were, that they weren't enough, that they lied to you. It's not about that at all. It's about you, who you attracted into your life, and why you attracted that person into your life, who you were being in the relationship. What issues and beliefs were you imparting? Those are the lessons this person brought us. And if we focus on the failings of the other, we will completely miss the lesson. So in reflecting back on my own experiences, I realized that I brought the lesson of self-worth 3 times in a row through 3 different men in my life at a specific time. So I have an issue of abandonment. And as the universe would have it, 3 men abandoned me sequentially because that's what I expected through my internal beliefs. And I wasn't getting the lesson. So the first man just simply vanished. We would run into each other around town all the time. And so after a while, we decided, okay, let's start seeing each other. And so we did. And hand to God, the relationship was going so well. If I tell you on Monday, it's going as well as I'm speaking. And then on Tuesday, he's gone. He just vanished to the point where I have not seen him since. He was nowhere to be found. I went by his job. I checked, places that I knew that he liked to go. It was unbelievable how this happened, that this man just simply vanished from my life. The second man that was trying to teach me this lesson in this Twilight Zone sequence, I was dating a journalist and we were vibing each other hot and heavy. We had plans to go to a family event on Saturday. We talked about our plans on Thursday. He doesn't show up on Saturday. I go to his place on Sunday. No answer. I comb the streets for him on Monday. And Tuesday, I think maybe he's been kidnapped by a disgruntled reader. This thought slipped into my imagination because what could have possibly happened to this guy? But then I realized that I have no family or friend information for him to call and to confirm that he's a missing person, because that's what I was about to do next, is call police and file a missing persons report. So my next move was, the only thing I could do is to wait. I waited until his next column was due out in the next week. And so I get up that morning and I run out to get the newspaper, and there I find his smiling face at the top of a fresh new column. I guess he's all right. So the third man, he did things in a much more traditional nature. He just stopped calling. And so obviously I got the hint and the relationship ended. It was the relationship that made me realize what it was that I was supposed to be getting out of these lessons, which is that each man, in spite of their exit, each man was supposed to be bringing me the realization that I was worthy of love. That's what I was supposed to be getting out of those relationships, because in each circumstance, they all treated me with the utmost expression of love. And so as I'm looking back on those three situations, and then, being with Mark, it really set me up to those situations really set me up to be able to be with Mark at a much higher level of expectation and knowledge of self-worth within myself. And I can now look back and realize that it really was my experiences with those people that got me to that point, to this point. But when I was in it, all of the ends of those relationships really felt jacked up. And they felt jacked up because I was too busy living in my fantasy and not focused on the reality of their unavailability, first of all, but also their willingness to choose me and to show me pure love in a multitude of ways. And for a long time, I focused on their exits. Through my abandonment filter, I was completely missing the gifts of love they were bringing. So before you walk away from a relationship, put a graceful and loving closure to it. You don't even have to have a conversation with him or her. You have it with yourself. Take responsibility for what you brought in that relationship. Share the lessons they taught you, the reasons you believe you were brought together in the first place. There are no coincidences or happenstance. When it comes to love relationships, there's always a reason and a purpose that people come into your life. It's your job to sort out what those reasons are. If these steps are not possible because you need to leave the relationship for reasons of safety, I challenge you to still take on the part of reflecting on yourself and what you brought into that relationship. Because the reality is, my beloved, although no one deserves to be abused, you have attracted that energy for a reason. So there's still exploration to do. It's not just all on them because they were the abuser, because they were the one who hurt you. You have responsibility for what you attract into your life. I mentioned in other videos about attracting certain people into your life. You're attracting that behavior. And when you figure out why you're attracting that behavior, that person into your life, why God wants you to learn about that lesson, it is only then that you will be able to end the cycle of that's reoccurring, that continues to bring in this particular behavior into your life, because there's a lesson to learn and you gotta get it. In short, the message of this episode is that the majority of our love relationships are not meant to last, but to learn from. And if you are not willing to do the work, you will miss the opportunity to heal and grow. So I challenge you, take the chance, take the risk, take the opportunity to reflect on those relationships that have come to an end and learn from them. So thanks for watching. I hope that the conversation has supported you and given you some insight and some guidance for how to take the next steps in your relationship, especially the relationship you're having with yourself. Don't forget to like my videos, please leave the comments, and even better, subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you next time on Love Relationships Real Talk.